Hi, I'm Jessica Patterson of Spinning Shadows Fiber Arts, and today I would like to share with you something that's very special to me. A story I've been working on for over 15 years and have finally gotten to the point of writing it down. This story is created as well, inspired by Tolkien, The Hobbit, and Chronicles of Narnia, set in a more modern day setting. It's fantasy, of course, and it is called The Guardian. This is the story of a young girl who finds herself thrown into a new world with centuries-old wars going on that she finds herself playing an integral role in as she discovers new abilities, new friends, and new family that help her along the way in an epic journey. I'm going to be reading the first chapter, A Voice in the Darkness. I hope here soon to have this book available as a physical novella. That's right, novella. It's 11 chapters long. It's not very long, but I hope to be able to write these short novellas and release them for you to enjoy. So here we go. Chapter 1, A Voice in the Darkness. How did it all begin? She said to a figure sitting with his back to hers in a shifting, shadowy landscape. Well, it started out as another day on the road for 18-year-old Jess Quill, who was traveling with her parents to pick up animals for their small farm. They were on their way back home and had only a few days left of the tedious journey. Jess sat in the back seat of the large white truck, watching endless pine trees march up the steep hills and mountains. Her mind wandered far away in some fantasy of flying over the trees to fight magical monsters and save the day, imaginings inspired by the plentiful variety of adventure novels and games lining the shelves of her bedroom at home. Jess couldn't wait to get back and delve into some new world waiting to be found in a recently purchased book, leaving behind a lonely life on a farm in the mountains. The day was saved, and the magic sword shone brightly in the setting sun. Jess smiled as her imaginary self held a glittering glass-like sword high in the twilight sky. The truck slowed as they turned in at the entrance of an old gas station with a rusted salmon-pink shell sign above a faded tan stucco building advertising 99-cent burritos in the single large window. Her parents tended to the animals in the back of the pockmarked white trailer, while Jess scurried to the station, pulling her long blonde hair into a haphazard ponytail. Thankful for the stop and focused on getting into the station, she barely noticed a white-haired young man in a black suit standing near one of the tables outside. He took a mild interest in her, having nothing else to do while he watched over a large black cargo van. It had Arctic Drift Research and Development stenciled in glittery blue-white on the side under a stylized snowflake. He took in the tall, wide-shouldered figure with a rounded face, high cheekbones, and deep blue eyes set in a faraway gaze. She was wearing an old blue t-shirt, faded jeans, and eye-popping, vividly colored tennis shoes. He guessed her age to be late teens to early 20s by her appearance. I know what my grandmother would say, he thought with a small, humorless smile. Tosh, there goes a daydreamer. Watch out for them. They need all the help they can get. After she went past the doors, Tosh resumed idly searching for the small bird that was chirping among the branches of the nearby pine trees. Several minutes later, Jess emerged from the station doors carrying a large paper bag filled with water bottles and snacks. Her head bobbed slightly as she hummed the tune playing over the tinny-sounding speakers lining the ceiling of the building. There was a distant, low rumble which filled the air. Both Tosh and Jess looked up instinctively for a thunderhead, only to find the sky clear blue with no clouds in sight. Jess assumed it was a jet breaking the sound barrier and continued on towards the edge of the parking lot where her parents were now parked. Tosh wondered what trouble his co-workers were getting into in the nearby foothills while tracking some strange energy reading. Halfway across the parking lot, Jess's mind was brought back to the present by something that hit the side of her head with a resounding whump. She fell to her knees, vision swimming, and dropped her bag, sending water bottles skittering across the pavement. Tosh rushed over after seeing her fall, thinking she was hit by some rock kicked up by a passing car. "What happened?" he asked in concern as he held out his hand. "Are you all right?" Jess nodded dumbly, took the offered hand and got to her feet. She rubbed the developing knot on her head. "Yes, I'm fine, thank you." As she smoothed the side of her shirt, Jess noticed Tosh was quite a bit shorter than her. Though looking into his vivid ice blue eyes, she questioned the assumption that he was younger. There seemed to be a weight of years in his gaze which made her pause. Then embarrassment struck as Jess realized that she was standing there, openly staring, while her purchase lay simmering on the cement around them. Without a word, Tosh released her from his gaze and began to help pick up the scattered items. Jess picked up her bag and gratefully accepted his help. As she stepped away towards a water bottle, a glint caught her eye. Looking for the source, Jess spotted a blue-tinted oval crystal, the length of her thumb, with a tiny silver chain attached to the top laying on the ground. It seemed to glow with an inner light composed of a dizzying array of colors, which rapidly settled down to a vivid purple and sky blue, the two colors Jess loved dearly. She felt drawn to the necklace and picked it up with great care, as if it were the most delicate glass. Tosh glanced over from retrieving the furthest water bottle, and his eyes narrowed in puzzlement as he spotted the crystal in Jess's hand. To him there was more than a faint glow, but a dazzling radiance that filled the air and flowed around Jess like arcing solar flares. Then the brilliance vanished with a flash, like someone turned out the lights. Tosh blinked in confusion while his eyes readjusted. The world now looked strangely dull. He muttered inaudibly as Jess approached, hand held out for the last water bottle. Jess raised an eyebrow at him with a questioning gaze. Tosh handed her the bottle with a quick, disarming smile. "Nothing. Will you be all right?" "Yes. My parents' truck is just over there," she explained with a gesture towards the waiting vehicle. Safe travels then." He held up a hand in a weak wave as he hurriedly turned back to the table he had been standing by before. Jess smiled warmly. "Thank you," she called out before walking the rest of the way to her parents' truck. "With that, we headed home," said Jess to the figure sitting with his back to hers. They sat alone on a shapeless black stone in the midst of smoky, shifting darkness. Occasionally, a vivid streak of colored light would shine out, then fade back into the swirling smoke which reached no more than knee-height. The figure stirred, looking at her with quizzical green eyes while gesturing vaguely. "Your parents never noticed?" "They were busy talking about something," she shrugged with a half-hearted smile. "They didn't notice, and I didn't feel inclined to tell them that I just got knocked down by a necklace that mysteriously fell out of the sky." The figure laughed good-naturedly. "Head didn't hurt that much, eh?" "No." She shared in the laugh for a moment, then gave a resigned sigh. Her eyes fell to her open palm as the memory of warmth from the crystal returned. A yellow gold light flickered in her hand for a moment. Then it faded to a sad blue and went out. She took a deep breath and let it out slowly before looking at the figure with an apologetic smile. "I hope I'm not boring you with my story." He leaned into her back and chuckled. "Not at all. It's interesting to hear. Definitely more interesting than the so-called books I picked out. He held up 2 novels which looked to be science fiction from the spaceships shooting lasers at each other depicted on the cover. Jess looked at them with a raised eyebrow. I heard of that series. It's no good? The figure flung the books into the smoke with a casual flick of the wrist. They could be heard thudding into a solid floor some distance away. He smiled wryly. I've seen instruction manuals with more depth. I'm sorry, she said with a frown. You can't take them back to the library? Nah, the night staff isn't as friendly as my usual warden. He chuckled lightly and waved his hand. I'll get something new to read tomorrow. Oh, all right. She leaned back into him with a sigh. You sigh a lot. Sorry. You apologize a lot, too. Stop it. The figure jabbed her in the side lightly with a finger. Ow! Jess flinched and held up her hands in surrender. Okay, I'll try to stop. He smirked in triumph, crossing his arms. So that happened on Earth. How did you get to Chrysalis? She looked off into the smoky gloom for several minutes before replying. Her voice was quiet, barely above a mumble and filled with sadness. Well, it happened a few months later. And that was the first chapter of The Guardian. Thank you for listening this far, and let me know how you enjoyed it. Leave a comment and a like and subscribe, as always. And if you want to see this book come to life, please share it. Share this recording. I will try to update about it on my page on Spinning Shadows on Facebook. And as soon as I have it available, I will let you know in probably a very overexcited video of some sort, because I am thrilled to pieces to try and get this out there for people to read. It's exciting, and I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, have a nice day.